Hello everybody, this is Simeonski, and today I'm showing you the most important tool in Rec Room that especially creative people use just so much, just a lot, and that's why I want to explain to you. And this tool is of course the tube tool. Let's go right into it. Alright, let's get out our Maker Pen, let's go to Palette. And let's work with the tube tool. There's also a ribbon tool, which I will not explain in an extra video. It's basically almost the same like the tube tool, but this doesn't have filled shapes. It's kind of flat, but works exactly like the tube tool. And I will just show the tube tool for now, which is a filled tube, as it says. Yeah. So. Yeah, you want to create a tube. This is how it looks like when you start. And you have some different settings here that you can use. I will go through all of these. But for now, I would suggest you can use the grid to work with it, that it aligns to the grid. You can use the surface. This is helpful when you want to draw something on a wall or on the ground, so it stays in one spot. For example, for text, if I want to put my name here, Sim, then I can use the surface tool. But for the most creative part of it, I would always try to turn the snapping off. World space is not important if you create stuff, because you can just leave as it is. But let's go through the settings of this tool. So it's important to know that there are two settings that you want to use. One is in the creator tool setting, it will come later, and the most important settings are the create tube setting, so we'll go to that. So here you have different choices here. The first one would be the tube radius, which is basically, as you see, how big the tube will be. That. Super big. And you can use the slider here, but you can also put a number. So, but I rarely use the number, but you might want to have a very precise size of a cube between 1 and 2.5. And this comes in handy, and you can set your own number. Let's stay with 8 now. So then the second setting would be the height. So 1 is, it's round, it's the full height basically. Then we have 0.5, which would be more like a flat tube, like half of the size. And we can go down even more to make it super flat. Then it's almost like a ribbon. But I will leave it now at rounded. So then we have tube facets. What is this? So this would be how many corners it has. 3, 4 would be more like a rectangled tube, more like a cube, yeah. 5, 6 would be more round, and if you go up to 10, it's the roundest shape, but it also takes the most ink, just to let you know. So you don't want to go beyond 10, I think. 10 is okay. So I would always use 5 or 6, which is super okay if you're not really close up. It looks pretty round. This is a 6 facet tube, I think, and it looks pretty round already. Then the brush, I never change it. I don't know what the other ones do. And then you have something that is really important. You have smooth tubes here. If you turn this off, you see the tube is more flat. See? So it has more hard corners kind of, and it's flat at the end. So it looks way harder. If you turn on the smooth tubes, the same. Looks way more soft, and you already see, even though I don't have so many, I have the same amount of facets here, like 6, but here, because of the smooth tube thing, it roundens it more, so it looks pretty much like it's a round tube already, and it has this little bit round looking thing at the end. And then you have to connect nearby tubes. This basically means if I turn this off, I can draw tubes by itself. If I turn it on and I go to the end of a tube here, then it will automatically be connected to this, and I can continue with one aligned tube basically. So these are the settings that are inside the Create Tube Settings tab, but there's another setting which is very important for creative people especially, and this is in the Create Tool Settings actually. And this is uniform shapes. If you have this turned on like I do now, you can make straight lines as you see, and it stays very straight. You leave the trigger and then you can turn it. If you turn this off, you have a more free way to draw. You just push the trigger and you draw like you would on you just draw on the end, and you can be way more creative with this, of course, but it also takes a lot of more ink, so just something to let you know. I will go back to uniform shapes for now. Alright, so this is the basic way you create tubes, but you can influence some little settings here. So what you actually can do is to squeeze the trigger just a little bit to make smaller shapes, and squeeze it more and more to go up to the top shape that you have. This way you can easily create very creative things like this. But make sure you can, if you do this and you press the trigger just a little bit, and just make sure that you really just have to press it a little bit. If you squeeze it in too much, it will directly go to the biggest size and stop there. So just to let you know. What else can you do with tubes? So now the manipulate tool always comes in here, very handy. So if you select a tube, choose manipulate, go in. Then you see something here. Now these yellow dots are popping up. And you can move any single facet of your tube individually to put it at a very precise place, and to change things later on that maybe you didn't work out so well in the first place. You can do that here with your manipulate tool. Yeah, that's basically it for tubes. And I want to give an example of something you can easily create with tubes, and I will use all the different tube forms now for this. I will create a simple plant here. So we have this trunk. By just putting a tube. Then we can do another tube that we maybe say it's like half the height. Make a small starting, make it a little bit bigger, and yeah. So this will be our leaf. Of course you can be better with this, it's not the best looking. So we want to have 2 leaves, so we use another tool we used before, the clone and flip tool. Move it. And then we wanna maybe do the leaves up here, or the flower itself. For this we can activate, deactivate the uniform shapes maybe. Go up, just draw what we want to draw. Flower like this. And for the middle part I will activate the uniform shapes again. Change the radius to, yeah, let's do it like very big radius and height to this. Put in the middle part of the flower like that. And then I can also recolor this, but this I will show you in the next tutorial. Thank you guys for watching again. As always, like and subscribe, and visit my extra room that I built to show off the things that you can do and to give you a little bit insight, especially when the circuits come up, that you can just check out, make a selfie, post it, whatever. And yeah, see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.